Hi, I'm Nicole Slowey. I'm the Operations Director here at Qdos, and in this video today we'll be talking about the appointment of our new Prime Minister, Rishi Sunak. After a couple of months of political instability against the backdrop of significant economic challenge, we now have a new Prime Minister in Rishi Sunak. Mr Sunak's tenure follows on from one of the shortest periods we've had of a Prime Minister in their position with Liz Truss. Over the last couple of weeks, we've seen a significant announcement made in the mini-budget by Qdos, only for him to be removed from his position and for the new Chancellor to actually then reverse all of the measures introduced in that budget. Now, there are significant ramifications across all of this, both in terms of the replacement of our Prime Minister, the replacement of our Chancellor, and actually the potential cabinet reshuffle that Rishi Sunak may do in his first days in his new role as PM. The appointment of the new Prime Minister has come at a tricky time. We had a mini-budget on the 23rd of September delivered by Qdos. We had a all but exclusive reversal of that budget by the newly appointed Chancellor Jeremy Hunt just more than a week ago. And we actually still have, at the minute, a fiscal event scheduled for the 31st of October. It will be interesting to see how Mr Sunak's new position actually impacts this timeline, if we still expect to see the event on the 31st of October go ahead, and how his relationship with Mr Hunt as the current Chancellor, or potentially the replacement of that Chancellor, actually impacts the wider piece on economic and finance policy. Before we get into thinking about how Mr Sunak is going to be as our PM, it's worth reflecting back on how he was as our Chancellor. Now, having been appointed in February 2020 under Boris Johnson's government, Mr Sunak had a significant undertaking in managing the UK's economic response to the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, starting with the pandemic itself, Mr Sunak introduced £350 billion worth of packages, including things like the furlough scheme, as well as a series of other measures to help UK business and the general public within the UK as well. But as part of that, Mr Sunak was heavily criticised for his lack of support for the self-employed, having very clearly missed them out in a series of measures where those operating in a self-employed capacity fall or fell between that space between business and individuals. So lots of people won't be quick to actually forget that. Now, COVID aside, Mr Sunak actually presided over the postponement of the off-payroll working rules back in 2020, and he also oversaw the introduction of the rules in April 2021. There was a significant amount of excitement and interest in the marketplace when Qdos announced the repeal of the IR35 reforms. Now, we know that repeal has now in fact been reversed by Jeremy Hunt, and combine that with the fact that the Chancellor, or the new Prime Minister who was a Chancellor at the time, oversaw the introduction of the legislation, there is limited hope that the new PM will actually oversee any reversal. What remains to be seen is if he would go as far as what his predecessor had said in terms of actually conducting some form of IR35 review. Whilst the repeal of reform being cancelled was not the outcome that most organisations in the self-employed market in the UK were looking at, what we can at least take as a positive is that it's definitely back to being part of the conversation for lots of organisations in the UK. And we can hope that by being back on the table for discussion, this may prompt more organisations to continue to consider their position to compliance and really take time to establish their strategies, how they currently engage contractors and how that might actually change in the future. We will certainly be continuing to help educate the client sector and ensure that engagers have the relevant information and expertise in order to adequately consider their IR35 compliance position. As always, please subscribe to our channel to stay up to date with our latest videos.